the life for you, eh? It's really not. All people do here is politic on the next man and all that. And what politicking is hating on the next person. Nobody will ever get far in this game. I guarantee it. You will never see a retired inmate member. You will never see a retired 2-5er member that's actually in good standings. It's either you're going full force forever, or something you did knocked you down a notch and you are not on disregard now. But you can never make it. There's no retirement benefits for this. It's either death or jail. That's all it is, and it's always going to be like that.
So where do they call you?
They call me Rascal.
Rascal, what are you incarcerated for, and how long is your sentence?
I'm busted for involuntary manslaughter. I got 31 years.
Where are you from out here on the streets?
I'm from Fullerton, Baker Street, Orange County.
You know, I want to go ahead and say thank you so much, sir, for allowing me to be able to share your story, to be able to ask you questions, and for giving us a piece of your mind, man. This is an open platform. This is your interview, your video. So I just want you to know that feel free and feel comfortable to say whatever you'd like.
Yeah, and I appreciate you just giving me this platform to talk, because not a lot of people do this for me, so I appreciate that a lot.
Most definitely, sir. Most definitely, sir. So I understand we're going to go ahead and talk about your case. I'm going to go ahead and let you break it down and take a start and let us know exactly what it is that happened, man. So the floor is all yours, sir, and take your time.
All right, I appreciate that. All right, well, I'm going to take it back to 95, right? Well, in 1995, my dad died. Well, no, I'm sorry, 1990, my dad died. He died of AIDS. Eh? So when my dad died, my mom was like a crackhead, right? She was from La Jolla, a gang called La Jolla in Orange County, Placentia. So my grandparents took me and my sisters in because no one else would take us, and they didn't want us in a foster home. So that's who raised me since I was a kid. But when I was 8 years old, my grandparents gave me away because they couldn't handle my outbursts of anger. And I would get pretty crazy. They had me on some pills called but it had like a zombie, so they took me off of that. Well, from when I was 8, I was in group homes, and I would run away, and I would run away, and I would run away, and they keep snatching me up and taking me back. Well, in 1998, I joined a gang called Baker Street, Westside Fullerton. And from there on, until I got busted, I was just putting in work. I've been to YA. I've been through all that stuff. But that's neither here or there. Here, let me take you to when I got busted. The day I got busted, I was at my grandma's funeral all day that day. All day. Like I was so distraught. I was crying all day. It was really hard for me. I couldn't believe the person that raised me was dead. Well, from that moment on, I just lost control. My sister came to me earlier and she was like, "Look, Tommy," well, that's what they call me, Tommy, not Rascal. They call me Tommy. So she came and she goes, "Look, your grandpa needs you to come stay at the house so we're around him." So I said, "Okay, let's go." Well, when we make a right on Martin, there's an undercover cop pulled up on the side with the lights off. So I tell my sister, keep going. I had a gun on me. Well, she's like, "Oh, what do you want me to do?" I was like, "Well, just drop me off in the hood." Well, she was against it, but I kept begging her, and I was like, "Look, I'll just get out the car and go," because all I care about is my neighborhood. That's all I cared about. So she took me over there and she dropped me off. Right when I dropped off, I went upstairs because we were at the Atrium Apartments, and that's right there in the neighborhood. And when I walked up the stairs, I seen all the homies kicking it right there. It was my homeboy Christopher Cali, Tripper, Negro. It was my homeboy Avery, my homegirl Michelle, my homeboy Bugsy, my homegirl Brittany, my homegirl's mom Irma. Well, as soon as I walked in, my homeboy Tripper just got out, so I gave him a big old hug. I was like, "What's up, fool? What's cracking with you?" And he's like, "Nah, I'm just right here. I just got out." Well, anyways, I give the money to Irma. I was like, "Hey, go buy us some pisto." And she was like, "Okay, well, can I get some money too?" So I gave her an extra $10, and she bounces. Right? She takes off. Me and the homies are right there kicking it. We're chopping it up, talking about the next holiday. We're gonna go bust on these fools in Tokerstown. right? And my homeboy pulls out this big old, he pulls out a big old start-off shotgun. And I was like, man, that's crazy. So we start tripping out on the gun that my homeboy Avery brought. And then, anyways, we get a call. And when we hear the call, Michelle takes it and she goes into her apartment because we were in 219 and Michelle lived in 220. So she takes it over there. The next thing she knows, she comes running into the apartment, like crying, like hysterical. And we jump up and she was like, oh my God, you don't know what just happened. Some fool just said, fuck Baker Street. He smacked Shirley on the ass and he's like pulled out a gun on my mom, right? All the homies jump up and take running outside. I don't run outside. I run into Michelle's house. And when I run into Michelle's house, I grab the gun. And when I grabbed it was in a shoebox in her dresser. And man, I grabbed the gun out of the dresser and I opened up the box and it was a 380. It was like a high point 380 all made out of plastic. So I grabbed it. I run outside. Right when I ran through the apartments, down the stairs, by the pool, out through the front gate, and across the street. When I get inside of the store, some fool turns to me, and he's like, him and my homeboy Tripper, they're like, look like they're about to fight. So I run up. I was like, hey Tripper, what's up? And then that fool turned to me and he goes, hey homie, where are you from? And I start laughing, and I tell Tripper, I was like, hey, is this motherfucker serious? And Tripper's like, yeah, dog, I think he is. And I was like, all right. I'm like, this is where I'm from. And I popped him. I shot him directly in the chest. He fell on his butt, turned around, ran back into the store. So I ran back into the liquor store too, looking for him. So when he goes inside the liquor store, I'm looking, I can't see him. And it's, in the liquor stores, how everybody knows, like in a liquor store, they have like a chip aisle. They have like they're just aisles. Well, I go through the chip aisle and all of a sudden the chips start exploding. And then I'm thinking like, what is this? And I figured out in my mind, he's shooting through the aisle at me. He's shooting through the aisle at me, trying to hit me. So I'm like backing up, like worried. My heart is pounding. I'm so scared. Like it's like the OK Corral. I pull out and I cocked it. I like grabbed the slide and pulled it back to cock the gun, and a bullet shoots out. I was like prematurely, boom, and I'm like, oh man. So I shoot into the floor, and then I start shooting through the chips, right? And me and him are shooting back and forth through the chips, right? Well, this fool ends up running out the door. He runs out, and I start chasing after him. And when I get outside, my homeboy Tripper's like right there. And I was like, hey, fool, what's up, dog? He's like, he ran across the street. So I start running across the street. I'm not knowing that this fool's already fatally shot. He got shot. I'm not knowing at the time. Well, I get across the street. I can't find this guy anywhere. So I throw my gun in the bushes, and I tell everyone, let's go back to the house, right? We go back to the house. The girls are there, and they're all crying. And they're like, oh, my God, what happened? What happened? And I was like, hey, man, that fool pulled out on me. He told me he was from Tokestown. I did what I did. I was like, everybody get in the room. I made everyone get up and go into the bedroom, right? And then I took everyone's cell phone, and then I went and I washed my hands out in the toilet, right? Because I didn't want gunpowder residue on my hands at the time, right? So we're all sitting right there, and all of a sudden, my homeboy Tripper says, they're on the roof. They're on the roof. And I'm like, nah, fool, you're tripping. Kick back. No one's to leave this room. If anyone leaves this room, I'm killing them. Right? Anyone walk out this house, I'm doming them as we speak. No one is leaving this house. So everyone's all tripping, and then we hear, Karen! Karen! Well, I guess this fool, China, lived in the apartments that we're all in. So this fool ran back to the apartments and was crawling, going door to door, knocking, and people were so scared they were not opening for him. So this guy's dying, literally dying, screaming out for his wife or girlfriend, who knows, Karen, right? And Michelle hears this, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna go see what's happening." And I'm like, "Nah, let him die." And then everyone's like, "No, hey!" I was like, "Anyone open that door, I'm killing him." So then we all go back inside. Yeah, so like I was saying, I was letting everybody know, do not open the door. You know, and I was willing to do whatever I had to do. You know what I mean, to make sure that I didn't get arrested that day. Well, I go back to the back room in Michelle's house because that's where we all ran, and we're in the back. There's only one bedroom in there in the house, you know, and we were all sitting on the bed. I made everybody get on the bed. I was in the bathroom tripping, looking outside the back window because Tripper just said the cops are on the roof, right? So I keep looking outside the back window, and then I'm not knowing that that Irma and Irma and Chris and her daughter Erica and some girl named Shirley, they're all in the front room at the time while I'm in the bathroom. Well, then when I'm doing that, I hear a kicking of the door next door in apartment 219 where we were just at. Well, the cops are going through there, and I'm like really tripping now. Like I'm really jump through the back window and all this. I'm tripping, but I wouldn't fit. I'm not being able to fit through the back window. I tried and everything. I kicked out the window, and I'm trying to jump out the back window, but it's not working, right? And then my homeboy Tripper was like, "Oh man, I can't do it anyways because I got a leg injury from when I was playing handball in Ironwood." So I was like, "Man, dog, I don't want to leave you." And he's like, "No, if you can't, go." So I'm trying to jump through the back window. It's not working. Well, at the same time, there's a knock on the door. Irma opens it, and that's Michelle's mom. And it's all the cops. It's a SWAT team and everything. And they're like, "Look, ma'am, there was a shooting in the front. Who's all here?" And she's like, "Oh, my daughter Erica and Michelle and some of her friends." And she's like, and then they're like, "Well, can we come and look, ma'am?" And she opened up the door, let the cops in. The cops come to the back room. I'm like laying on the floor with like a blanket over my face, hoping that they don't see me. And the cops are like, "Oh, Rascal's here. We found Rascal." And they put a shotgun to my face. They tell me, "If you move, we're gonna smoke you." Right? So I'm staying perfectly still. They get everybody out first, and then they get me. They have me flip over on my stomach. They handcuff me, right? And they walk me downstairs, put me into the police car, and they sit me right there. Well, my heart's been beating so fast for so long, I pass out. I fall asleep right there in the back of the police car, right? This whole time, I guess somebody. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. Weeks before that, saying that Rascal is running around tripping with a gun. So the cops already had an APB out on me looking for me because people were saying I was out to kill everybody. So they took me to the police station. I go and I get booked. It's me, my homeboy Tripper, and my homeboy Weddle, and all the girls. I'm not knowing that everyone's arrested at this time. They keep me separate from everybody, right? So they bring me in first they bring me in one time and they want to talk to me, and I refuse all questioning, right? So they kick me back out. And then they bring me back in maybe like an hour later, and I was like, "I want to talk to my lawyer." They're like, "It's Saturday. We can't get a lawyer at this time." I'm not knowing this whole time that all the girls are stealing everything. Irma's saying, "Oh my God, Rascal, somebody that you can't even show emotion around because he'll kill you." Like they're making up stories about me that makes no sense at all, right? So I'm right there and I'm waiting for 8 hours. I'm telling them I don't want to talk to them for 8 hours until finally they get up and they leave. And then when they leave, they take off. I'm telling them I want to talk to my sister. They're like, "Well, it's not happening." So they come back and they get me and they return me back to the cell. And my homeboy Tripper's right next to me. He's the only one that got busted for being an accomplice for me. Then they take me to the county jail. And from there on, there's more stories to come. From the time I got busted in the county, that was in 2009 to when I left in 2013, I got many more stories to tell everybody. But I appreciate the time that you gave me, and I really look forward to like sharing some more stories with you because, I appreciate this platform and everything that you guys are about.
Quick question. Out of curiosity, you being from the city of Fullerton, why does Baker Street not get along with Tokerstown?
So you know about that, Tony? Okay, well that's like that goes from way back My homeboy Pete Acosta, they call him Joker. That's P Boy. Well, he came from over there, right? And before we were all friends. Everything was all good, but they wanted us to become part of them, and we weren't having it. And then one time when we had a party, my homeboy Big Paya, rest in peace, he went and he stabbed one of them fools up. Yeah, but that was way before my time. When I became from Baker, it was already on and cracking. You know.
Besides Tokerstown, what other neighborhoods do you guys not get along with?
Oh, we don't get along with Eastside Buena Park. We don't get along with nobody in Fullerton. No gang in Anaheim. Westside La Habra. We don't get along with Compton 132nd, 18th Street. We don't get along with 155. We don't get along. Basically, we don't get along with nobody except for people from Santa Ana. We hate every gang. Anybody from Santa Ana, they're too far away to beef it with. But if they're pretty close to us, we'll probably cause problems with them. And we're not even a big neighborhood. That's what you mean. That's what I don't get. My homeboy, we averagely die of maybe once a year. Somebody from my neighborhood dies.
So you said once a year. So I'm assuming you've had a lot of homies killed.
Yeah. A lot of homeboys that died. My last homeboy that died was my homeboy Droopy. He died maybe 9 months ago.
What happened to him?
Oh, he got killed. He got stabbed up, and they found him in the alley the next day. Yeah. What happened? Are we still recording, Tony?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are. Oh, see, hey, we're still...
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Hey, I'm sorry, Tony, about that, man.
Oh, don't even trip, brother. Wow, what a horrible way to
we
to die in an alley like that.
Yeah, well, that's like my third homie, my homeboy Little Man. He got smoked by. I guess he was messing around with his lady, and they blew his head off in the alley, and they found him with the shotgun like curled up next to his stomach. He couldn't pull it out in time.
Oh man.
Yeah. But everybody from my neighborhood has been shot, has been stabbed. Like me, I've been beat up with baseball bats. I got beat up with baseball bats right after I got my head tattooed, the WSF on the back of my head. They pulled me out of Jack in the Box when I was eating and beat the crap out of me until some black dude stopped. Supposedly, he said, I woke up after the beating and I was throwing up all over the place. And some black guy was standing over me. He had one arm and he was like, oh yeah, I chased him away. And I was like, yeah, all right. They probably just got tired of beating me, and they thought I was dead.
Who?
Everybody from my hood has been. Who? Yeah, it's some top fight. Eastside Buena Park.
Yeah, the dudes are from Eastside Buena Park. They got several different cliques. Diablos, demons.
Yeah, Diablos. But they're all from anyone from like Kingman or like the Diablos. Those are like the main ones, though. That's like the oldest ones. But those are like one of our worst enemies. Them and Togerstown, we're constantly getting into it with them because we all go to the same high school. We've done stuff to them. They've done stuff to us. So it's like constantly violent. It's constantly bloodshed. It's just like nuts. I've never been like since I got jumped in. So like when I came to prison, it's been nothing but killing, stabbing, like nuts.
So you get jumped in. When is the first one?
Yeah.
When is the first killing? When is the first one of your homies that got dropped? And that you started to realize that this ain't no game.
A month. I told my family about that story with my homeboy Dreamer. A month after I got jumped in, this was like 2000, right? A month after I got jumped in, like my homeboy Dreamer, he just got out of YA, And he did not want to go to Baker because he didn't want to get a parole violation. That was like his main thing. I do not want to get a parole violation. So he's been and his mom and dad both live on Baker in the corner, and he just refused to go. Well, one day I'm at my homeboy Shorty's and Crazy's house, right? I'm not knowing earlier that day my homeboy Scrappy seen one of these fools from Tokerstown and beat the in a Dollar Tree liquor store, in a Dollar Tree store, right? He doesn't come by and he tells nobody, right? So these fools are all mad, and they go and get their homeboys. Me and my homeboy Smokey, we're at Shorty's and Crazy's house, right? Dreamer finally says that day, I'm gonna come, and they're gonna come and they're gonna play wiffle ball, right? So they come and he comes over, he visits with his mom, and they're playing wiffle ball with the kids, right? Well, I'm across the street at the time, and then my homegirl Shorty was like, "Oh, there goes a carload right there. We were just got done talking about Tokerstown," and she goes, "Oh, look it, there goes a carload right there." But it was a carload full of girls. And right when I go to like the barrier of his house, another carload drives by. It's a car. The first one was like an SUV. The next one was like a Nissan Sentra, and it's all full of guys. And then I see Dreamer run up the alley and give a whistle like, "Come on, let's go." So I tell Smokey, let's go. So I run across the street. Right, Smokey.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
He never followed, man. Right? So we get across the street, and these fools pulled up. Right? And the girls are nowhere to be found, but the guys pulled up. And when they pulled up, they parked. My homeboy Puppet throws an ashtray at him, and he hits the guy in the head. Well, he's some big old dude. 4 dudes came out the car at the time. The big one gets hit in the head, and he moves out the side. The little one pulls up and starts shooting, but he shoots into the floor at first, and he brings up the gun, right? We're like maybe 5 feet apart. I fall to the floor. Immediately, I fall to the floor, the first gunshot, and I start crawling under the car, and I go through like the little... So like I was saying, like, so then I go, the gunshots, I crawl under the car, and I get up and I run through this little alley. It's me, my homeboy Puppet, and my homeboy Dreamer. I don't know where they're at the time. Well, I run over to my homie Spanky's house, right? And when I'm at Spanky's house, I'm tripping. I'm like feeling myself for bullet. The first time I've ever been shot at, and I feel like that was the scariest thing that's ever happened in my life, right? So I'm tripping. I'm only 14 years old at the time, right? And then I see my homeboy Dreamer. He's hunched over, like in like a little, like holding his stomach and like walking forward. And I tell him, "Hey, Robert, are you okay? Are you okay?" And he like goes and he falls to the floor on all fours. And I see a little bullet in his back, a tiny little bullet. No, it's barely bleeding. I knock off the planters. They're like having like little washcloths to like absorb the water on the planters. So I grab one of those and I hold it and I wipe his back first. And once I wipe his back, it starts pouring blood. So I push against it, and I'm holding his stomach and I'm holding his back and pushing as hard as I can. And my homeboy Wicked, I'm trying to talk to him. He cannot talk. My homeboy Wicked, his brother walks up and he goes, "Hey, fool, what happened?" I'm like, "Hey, dog, Dreamer shot." So he calls Spanky, which is his other brother. And he's like, "Hey, fool, throw him in the back of the truck, do whatever. Let's get him out of here." And then he's telling me, "Rascal, you need to leave. The cops are going to arrest you." Right? I was like, "No, I'm not leaving him. The cops show up. Right? The cops show up. The ambulance show up. They handcuff me, put me in the back of the police car, and they arrest me for absconding because I ran from a group home earlier. So they had a warrant out for my arrest. So they arrest me, and then I'm in and booking at the time. The cops come in. I'm asking about my homeboy Robert. They tell me, "Hey, we're sorry, but he died earlier," and I don't believe them. I was like, "What?" They say that he got shot in the back. They hit him in the rib, got lodged in his heart, and there was nothing they could do for him. He died. His first time in Baker after he got out of YA, never wanted to go there for 1 year. He went there the first day and he got killed. That's when I knew, like, man, these fools are playing for keeps out here.
Do you remember going to the funeral and
Do you remember
how it impacted your family?
How it impacted my family? Yeah, I do. I went to the wake, and his mom was crying. She was standing right there. You know, I walked up and I told her I'm sorry. I walked up to him. He didn't even look like Zimmer. He looked like some bloated dude. Like he looked weird, eh? He looked waxy. He looked fat. He didn't look like a guy with like he didn't look like himself, eh? Like when people say, "Oh, he looks like he was sleeping," there's no way. Every funeral I've ever been to, they never look the same, eh? They don't look real. So I walked up, his mom's standing right there. We all give her a hug and a kiss, but what could we tell her? Like, oh man, we're sorry that your son died for coming to Baker. You know, all her boys are from Baker. You know, all I could do was give her a kiss on the cheek, tell her I'm sorry, cry, and walk away. And then when we took a big old like car funeral all the way to Orange where he was buried. And when we got there, all the homeboys went to the casket. There was maybe like 40 of us. We all went over to the casket. All of us, just all of us. No one else. None of the family, nobody else. We all walked up and we started talking. And we didn't talk about like the homie and like how we miss him. None of that, dog. We were talking about how when we're going
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
we're talking about how we're going to go kill somebody from Tokerstown, how we're not going to let this slight happen, and that anybody gets in the way, we're killing them. We don't care if it's their brother. We don't care if it's their sister. As long as we kill somebody from Tokerstown and they feel the pain that we're going through. That's all we cared about.
What is your perspective on that now? You know, back then, it might have been a thing to do, but what is your perspective on this now?
Well, see, now that I see stuff and I've been through a whole bunch of stuff, I've been stabbed, I've been through all this stuff, I've been through the ringer, like, it's not worth it. You know, I wish I could go and I could reclaim my life and do everything all different. The only thing that I'm happy about is my wife. I would have never have found my wife if I would have went any other way. Everything had to line up for me to find her, and that's all that matters to me now.
Do you have any advice for anybody out there who is thinking that this is the lifestyle to live?
Yeah. Like, my advice to them is think twice. If you're not willing to pull the trigger, if you're not willing to watch like the light go out of people's eyes when you kill them, if you're not willing to like not care about their family or what they're going through, then go ahead, go. You know what I'm saying? If you're not tripping about that, go ahead, be somebody. But if you can't sleep at night, if you can't, because you're always thinking about, you see faces when you're crashed out. If you're thinking about like if you hear they're begging for mercy, if you're worried about like having nightmares for the rest of your life, then you need to think twice, because this isn't the life for you, eh? It's really not. All people do here is politic on the next man and all that. And what politicking is hating on the next person. Nobody will ever get far in this game. I guarantee it. You will never see a retired MMA member. You will never see a retired 2-5er member that's actually in good standings. It's either you're going full force forever, or something you did knocked you down a notch and you are not on disregard now. But you can never make it. There's no retirement benefits for this. It's either death or jail. That's all it is, and it's always going to be like that.